Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be unboxing this massive Sceptre super ultra wide monitor. But if at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same massive monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's get this thing unboxed. All right, so getting this thing right open, this thing is absolutely massive. It is a super ultra wide monitor, although it's flat, which is kind of weird, but it's also very budget friendly. All right, opening this up and it looks like it's a box inside of a box. And there it is. I think this is part of the Nebula series, which is like that white series that they have, but it's a gaming panel, 120 hertz refresh rate, but only 1080p. So it will have a little bit lower PPI. This monitor is gonna be for an extremely specific person, but it could be a good monitor for them, although I'm not sure yet. We gotta get this thing unboxed and tested. All right, laying it down, we're going to attempt to pull this out. I would have preferred a front opening package with a monitor that's this large. All right, dumping it out is the move. So in here, we have the absolutely massive stand, which we have actually seen this before on the channel. If you guys follow the channel a lot, we've seen this before. This is a massive stand, all metal, which is good. The other half of the stand, which is also massive, but it is nice because this is a clip-in stand, which is very nice. Got some gloss black around the back there, a little bit on top, cable management channel right there. Now in here we have gloves to assemble it, which is very funny. Don't know why they do that, but they've had this on a couple other models. We then have the VESA mounting bracket. So if you want to VESA mount it, you got to use this bracket, which is fine by me. It's just an extra step that you have to do. And then we have a remote, which is kind of cool, but also kind of weird. Then we have a screwdriver that Sceptre actually gives you, which is awesome. A power cable, a USB type A to USB type B, the screws for the stand, and then a display port and your manuals and stuff like that. Let's get this stand together. We're gonna have to grab this and grab these little screws, open them up, take that screwdriver that they included in there, line these up just like that, and these are the wrong screws. I thought it was weird that there was 4 of them. These are the correct screws, so use these, open this up, and screw that in. They are color matched white, but it doesn't matter because it's on the bottom. There we go, the stand's all together. Height adjustability, stuff like that. Very good. Let's actually get the monitor set up on the desk now, so let's pull this off, and there it is. That is huge for a flat panel. Kind of nervous about it. However, I've been wrong about flat panels before, so I'm not gonna jump the gun. We're just gonna see how it is, and clipping it in, very nice and easy. Let's get this lifted up. It is pretty heavy, and that is a big monitor, very wide. All right, setting this on the desk. We're gonna get this plastic off, and right here on the back, these are gonna be some RGBs right there. From all of my experience with Sceptre, these are not gonna give you any backlight, although we'll test that out. Then on here we have the power cable, which is nice because it's an internal power supply, which means that power cord, you can easily get a longer one very cheaply, and they're easy to replace, which is good. Then we have a USB type B that is the upstream to these 3 USB type A's. There may be more around this, I'm not sure. However, looking, it does not look like there's any more USB type A's. Then we have the 3.5mm audio out, a display port, 2 HDMIs, and a USB type C, which is very cool because this may be a gaming / work-oriented monitor. Kind of weird though, but we'll see how it works. With that, let's turn this around, which is a struggle in itself. There we go, let's get the plastic off. And there it is, a very interesting looking monitor, especially with all of the white. It's a cool looking monitor for sure. All right, so it has the height adjustability. Doesn't go super low to the desk, which is interesting, but it does go fairly high. Then it also has swivel. However, it's swiveling into my plants on the desk, but it does have quite a bit of swivel, especially for such a large monitor. Then obviously it does have tilt, and I doubt this has rotation. It does not have rotation, but that is kind of a given. But let's get this thing set up. We're going to do an initial impressions of what the monitor is, go through the menu system and the controls, a first impressions gaming test, and a ghosting test. So let's do it. All right guys, now it's on the desk. One little note, this uses 2 of these AAA batteries. None were included in the box with mine. I feel like they should have been. Maybe they were just forgotten, but if not, kind of a con. That's weird. But let's get to it and turn it on. We're actually gonna try it with the remote, and there we go. It's turning on. Okay, so right away we have it up. It is definitely not at 120 hertz, so let's go into the display settings and go down into advanced display settings and turn this all the way to 120 hertz. Yes, much, much better. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right away, it is weird not having a curve on such a wide monitor that's skinnier because it's a super ultra wide a 32:9 aspect ratio is weird. I noticed the curve for sure. These areas of the screen, you have to kind of go like this. Right away, that's what I'm noticing. But let's go into the menu system. They have this terrible layout down here with a activation button / menu button, the up and down. It's terrible. However, they have this. So this could be its saving grace. So let's you can navigate very easily with this. And it seems like it's pretty responsive. So even though this sucks down here, this is absolutely awful, this is great. So this is how you're gonna be using your menu system probably. So it's got FreeSync Premium. Let's turn that on. There we go. Let's go back into the menu system, go down to System. Overdrive is on medium. These are the ghosting settings, basically the response time settings. We're gonna mess with those at the end of the video. It does have HDR, which will be in the full review, so make sure to subscribe below for that. And then volume, I'm not sure if this has any speakers, but we're gonna turn that all the way up and see if it does. Okay, then let's go up into picture, and we're gonna change the preset to, we got a bunch of different ones, RTS, FPS, Eco, which is very dim, movie, and then user, which is the one that we're going to do. And we're gonna turn that backlight all the way up to 100. And overall, it seems pretty bright. We are in a bright room, so it's always hard to tell. Let's right away get our luxometer out and see what this is hitting right away, right out of the box. So again, take this with a grain of salt. The full review is gonna be the full test, but right away we're hitting 350 nits, about 350, but again, that's not with HDR on, so we'll definitely see how good that HDR performance is. I think it's supposed to go up to 600 nits. We'll see. One last thing we're gonna do is check the NVIDIA control panel, see if this thing could output 10 bits of color. All right, navigating down here, we're gonna see if it can output 10 bits of color, and it can. That is good news, but the one more thing to talk about is, we can get a close up down here, the PPI. As you can see, if you zoom in to like the 120, you can definitely see that there is pixelation going on. That's just what it's gonna be with a screen size like this, with only a 1080p super ultra wide 32:9 aspect ratio. But let's hop in game and see how this thing games. Okay, so I can confirm that this does have internal speakers. Kind of bad. One of them seems like it's rattling, and it does not get very loud. They're just not good. I can tell you from the little amount that I've heard, they're just not very good. But they are there, so. All right guys, getting right in game. It is definitely smooth, but it's not overly like gamery. It's only 120 hertz. I'm typically used to 165 hertz. I notice it slightly. Your eyes really don't notice that much of a difference over 100 hertz, but I definitely do notice it a little bit. Now, as far as input lag, just from feel, this feels pretty dang good actually, which is something that I kind of wasn't expecting, but this does feel like a fast panel. Now, I'm gonna say this right away. Not having a curve is kind of weird. Now I've used a flat panel. I used a 43-inch 21:9, so just an ultra wide resolution, and that was really good. I like that. That was the Anosin panel. That was actually really good. This, you don't really get to use that. You kind of have to look left and right. So that's just kind of right away. However, it's definitely not unplayable. I just feel that if you had a 32:9 aspect ratio, I would definitely like at least a little bit of a curve. It doesn't have to be as crazy as something like Samsung is doing, but having this be very flat, being this wide, it's not the best gaming experience, although it's definitely more immersive than a 16:9 typical aspect ratio. Now, as far as ghosting and screen tearing, I am seeing a little bit of screen tearing, as you may be able to see if you pause the video. There is a tiny bit of screen tearing. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker at all, especially concerning the price point and how different this monitor is. I would say, taking into account the price tag, this is a very cool product. I think right now it's $470, around that. We'll have it right here on the screen right now. But this is a very interesting monitor, and it's a very different monitor at a really affordable price tag, where if you're contemplating getting a 16:9 typical aspect ratio, maybe a 27-inch monitor, this could be inside of your budget if you want to decide to go with something like this instead. So this is definitely an interesting monitor. I do think that if you're going to be doing productivity as well as some gaming, this could be good, but you're not going to be a serious productivity person, and you're not going to be a serious gamer, because you're only getting 120 hertz. You do have a tiny bit of screen tearing, but it's a very pretty IPS panel overall. So you get really good viewing angles. you have good brightness out of the box, and we'll see about that HDR performance in the review, but that's enough talk about that. Let's get to the ghosting test. All right, right away, we are having a little bit of ghosting. It is definitely more than I'm used to with IPS panels, but it's not a whole ton, and we haven't changed anything in the settings yet, so let's go ahead and do that now. We're gonna go down to System, then we're gonna go to Overdrive. This is on medium, so high decreases it a little bit, but there is still definitely some ghosting. High is the best one to have it in. There's no pixel overshooting, no inverse ghosting at all. I think their tuning with the ghosting could have been a little bit better, but I wouldn't say it is a deal breaker. I'm gonna take the camera and kind of show you what your eye would see. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Definitely not a lot of ghosting, especially considering how weird this monitor is. I'm not really sure who this is right for because it's not the best for productivity because of the lower PPI. It's not as crisp as you would want probably from a productivity monitor, but it's also not the highest refresh rate or the lowest ghosting. It doesn't do anything perfectly or amazing, but it does everything interesting, but in a good way. So if you want interesting, this may be the right monitor for you. It's totally up to personal preference, especially with something like this. But out of the box, I'm actually gonna have a lot of fun testing this, and I'm excited to do it. But again, if you wanna check this thing out, there's Amazon links below. If you just wanna check it out, look at it, or if you wanna buy it, Amazon links below. But make sure to subscribe for the full review that'll be coming out in a few days. This was Type C Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video.